5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're in the pipe, 5 by 5.
This is the 5 on Film podcast.
Hello, ho, ho, and welcome to this first seasonal edition of the 5 on Film podcast. This episode, I'm your host, John, and joining me in our discussion of festive cheer is Amelia.
Hello.
Chris.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Dan.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
And Matt.
Cheers, everybody.
And this episode, on the run-up to the festive season, we have decided to run down the top 5 classic Christmas films. So Santa, Baubles, Good Cheer, Evil Industrialists, and Alternative Lives, and Races Against Time are the order of the day. Before we pop the sherry and peel the foil on the mince pie, some housekeeping. If you are listening to this podcast from your podcast provider of choice, I'll just point you towards our YouTube channel, where you can see us in all our glory. And if you're watching us there, know that we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and others. To find us, just look us up as at 5 on Film Podcast on any of our socials. So the rules for the night, we have 3 rounds. First, we each nominate a film, and if the majority of 3 accept it, it goes to the long list. Once we have 7 films, we'll eliminate 2, and then we shall rank the remaining 5. Now, usually we start with the person who came up with the subject, but seeing as this is such a general one, we're going to start with Amelia. Now, do you have a film? What's your first for the list?
Well, the thing is that because in a previous podcast, I realised I have a lot of similar choices to Dan. I'm going first and going to nick all his great ideas. And the first one that I really, really want to be included in the list is Muppets Christmas Carol. Now, for me, this is classic Christmas. And before you go, well, there's a lot of Muppets in it. 95% of the script is actually based on the original Charles Dickens novel. So one of my favourite quotes is, "There's more of gravy than of grave about you." And that's talking where Michael Caine's Scrooge character is talking about his business partner, Jacob Marley. And that's just one of the direct quotes. And this was the first film without Jim Henson, because it was a couple of years after he died, and it was his son's directorial debut. So it was really important for the company. And depending on which version you watch, you might see When the Love Is Gone, which is sung by actress Meredith Braun, who plays Belle. So in the original version of the film that we watched in the cinema, you won't have seen it. In the VHS version, which is what I grew up with, you did. That's when he popped out to get a drink, and then it has been missing from a few of the later versions. So it depends on some people like it, others like me, not so much. And I suppose a top fact is that 10 puppeteers had to actually produce the Kermit walking scene, and he was actually standing on a cobblestone textured rolling barrel. So it's just a childhood classic. Love it. That is why it should be in the top 5 this week.
Excellent. So I think this is a pretty safe one, to be fair. Chris, what do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that film. It's probably my favorite Muppet movie. I mean, how can you fault a film that manages to get Michael Caine singing along with Muppets? It's brilliant, and like Amelia says, it's very faithful to the original story. I love it. It's great. Got to be on there.
Excellent.
Great.
Dan, does it pull your strings?
100%. It's my number one. It's all-time favorite Christmas film. I can't go to sleep on Christmas Eve without at least, if not watching the film, I have to at least listen to the One More Sleep Till Christmas with Kermit standing and looking up at the shooting star, which apparently was put in as a nod to Jim Henson. And it's become like a bit of a trope that there's always a scene with Kermit looking up at a shooting star now in a lot of the other films. And apparently Michael Caine actually actively pursued the role when he heard that they were making it in London, because he wanted to be in a film that his daughter could actually watch him in, because everything else that he'd been in up until that point, he she couldn't see him in it, and also his grandkids have seen him in it as well, and they don't believe it's their granddad. He's in the film apparently, so it's quite sweet. And I was actually today years old when I realised that because obviously in the book there's only Jacob Marley, but they wanted I can't remember the name of the two guys.
Statler and
Waldorf.
Statler,
yeah. So they had to create another name for the other Marley brother, so they called him Robert as a nod to Bob Marley. And there's the Wailing money boxes, which are the reference to the Wailers. Which I was talking to Paul, who obviously isn't on tonight, but I was talking to him about it earlier, and I was like, I said the name out loud, and I was like, hang on, is that a reference to Bob Marley? Yeah, absolutely love the film. It's got to go on the list. Best Christmas film of all time.
Well,
Agreed.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad Phil's helped you out on that one. Okay, Matt, enlighten us. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I love Muppets Christmas Carol. I think it's a stupendous film. I mean, how can you not love the Muppets? The Muppets has to go straight onto our list. And I love the fact that Michael Caine, as Dan mentioned, was jumping at the bit to star in this film. And he said he just wanted to act it as if he was acting at the Royal Shakespeare Company, and that there was no Muppets in there at all, and the fact that they were real people. And it just shows, he's just treating the whole cast like the brilliant Kermit, the brilliant Gonzo and Rizzo, and all the cast are there. And my favorite, obviously, is Mr. Fozzie Bear, and going back, and I think he played Mr. Fizzywig in this, and he was like his old employer, and he owned a rubber chicken factory, and there you go. Fantastic film, gotta go on.
Excellent. Well, that's a full house, because there's absolutely no way I would live in this house if I didn't put this on the list. I agree basically that this is probably the finest Muppet movie that they've ever made. The songs are brilliant, even the one that keeps being dropped. I think the bit that always gets me is the bit where Gonzo's doing the street lamps. Light the lamp, not the rat. No.
I love it.
And he he's pulling Rizzo out of the barrel as an ice cube. So that's basically Michael Caine walking through it. I believe he got puppeteer blind in the end. I think the only people he saw were the puppets. So
it's dangerous for him though, because he was having because of all like the level of the puppeteers having to be underneath. Apparently, he had to be very careful where he walked on the street, because it was literally just like boards, and if he'd misstepped, he could have potentially. So it was quite dangerous.
Landed on a puppeteer.
Definitely on the list, definitely on our long list. So our next nomination, Chris.
Well, I feel like we can't really beat around the Christmas tree here. It seems like everyone's going to nominate their favorite Christmas film, and it's probably going to be quite contested. So I'm going to have to go in with my favorite Christmas film of all time, and one of my favorite films of all time, and that is Home Alone. I love this film. It came out when I was 8, going on 9. I'm about 4 months younger than Macaulay Culkin, and it's just it was my childhood. I'm 8 years old. TV's my life, and it's just brilliant. Everyone in it is fantastic. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as the wet bandits, and all the tricks he has to play. I watch it every year for Christmas. It's become a tradition in my Murray household, that I watch Home Alone and then alternate Home Alone 2 the year after. No matter how many times I watch it, it always makes me laugh out loud several times throughout the film. All of the gags are hilarious. The physical comedy is insane. I love the fact that people have worked out that Kevin's dad must be a member of the mob to be able to afford such an amazing house, and that the wet bandits would have died several times over if they'd actually sustained the injuries that they had. It's just fantastic, and the central performance of Macaulay Culkin is amazing. And he became a child star for quite rightly. This is, in my opinion, the best Christmas film ever made.
Right. That's pretty conclusive. So, Dan, I wonder what you're going to say about it, considering your shirt.
Yeah, get the reference. I made my family disappear. Of course, it's got to go on. I mean, if Muppets Christmas Carol has the kind of classic feel-good Christmas vibe, Home Alone is just pure mischief for a little boy growing up like me as well. Like Chris, I grew up watching it, and it's weird because who would think that like such a kind of quite a violent film could actually be such a classic family, like festive family film as well. But I think a lot of that is because of the soundtrack. It's just incredible. I would happily just stick the soundtrack on and listen to that as my Christmas music around the house.
John Williams.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And there's some great metal covers out there if anyone's into some heavy music.
I did not know that.
I found a band called the Home Alones who have released a concept EP based on the film as well, which is pretty good. But yeah, it's got to go on. Come on. I mean, actually, I suppose there's the second one, but to me, I think the first is by far the best. The self-contained in the house, all the pranks.
Well, maybe the second one will rear its head like last time. So, having said that, Matt,
yeah,
is this a cheese pizza or an eye into the face?
An eye into the face can be funny and good as well. So I think it's a bit of both of those. I have to say that I do have a slight favourite for Home Alone 2. That for me, I don't know why, because it clearly isn't the best film. This is clearly the best film, but I don't know. I've got a soft spot for Home Alone 2. But this being the first, being the best, it's self-proclaimed, it is the best. I love it. It's brilliant. My favorite bit is the house invasion. It's just all the pranks and the pitfalls and the danger they get into, and it's just pure 1940s Warner Brothers cartoon slapstick. I just love it. Every time I watch it, as Dan mentioned, I giggle like a big child. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's got to go on. It's absolutely got to go on without a doubt. And how far did he get onto our John Hughes pod? I can't remember. Did it?
I can't remember.
John Hughes being the writer. Did he direct it? I think he directed it.
No, it was Chris Columbus.
Chris Columbus, right?
But he was definitely in our top. Definitely on our top 5.
I think it got in the top 5 as well. So this could be probably the first movie that gets on to 2 top 5s. Maybe, who knows?
Oh, well, yes. There we go. Now,
I love the houses as well. The houses are amazing. I know you were saying, Chris, about the house and stuff like that, but I always wished that I could have my own room in the attic. As that it's fantastic, and the fact that he took his family on holiday every year, to another part of the world, was just insane. So he's definitely
the amount of money that would have cost, even in 1990.
Yeah. I looked up earlier. Actually, apparently the house is worth $1.5 million, or it sold for that. I don't know how recently.
It keeps selling. I think it sold last year, and then it had sold just a couple of years before that.
And
you always see it linked.
I worked out the conversion rate, and that works out just about £1 million, and that's less than a terraced house on my street. Ridiculous.
It's crazy. And Robert De Niro turned down the role of Joe Pesci's character. And all we know, Joe Pesci is he's solid for that character. He made it his own. But I think Robert De Niro would have been good in that role as well. I always like finding out who was cast, who was considered, and who turned it down. I always find it quite fascinating.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of the noise that Joe Pesci makes, which is like Muttley from he did that because
that's the one. That's the one.
He was told, he kept swearing during the takes.
Yeah.
And he said, Chris Columbus said, you've got to find a way of not swearing, and that was what he did. He was like that.
Well, I believe. Go on.
Sorry, there's another little nugget of kind of like trivia in it. And isn't the man who lives across the street called Old Man Marley? Is that like a little hint towards Christmas Carol and maybe the Marleys?
Possibly.
Could be.
Yeah.
It was only added towards the end of while they were developing it, because they wanted it to have a bit more of a sentimental red, and he kind of provided that, which I didn't realize until recently.
Yeah,
it kind of needed it, because otherwise it would have just been all out violence.
My turn. And you were saying about Joe Pesci. I'm sorry, Robert De Niro being the first choice. Daniel Stern, who ended up in the role, actually turned it down to start with.
I bet he's glad he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, he looked at it as a bit of fluff. I don't know I can't remember what he was doing at the time. If you get the chance to have a look on Netflix at the movies that shaped us, I think that's what the series is called.
Movie that made us.
That's the one. Basically, they explain it. They have interviews with Dan Stern about getting the role and everything. That house all the interiors were built in a swimming pool.
What?
It was that was the second house, the one that he goes to that flooded. They built that in the swimming pool. Their house, their set wasn't built in a swimming pool.
Well, basically, John Hughes didn't want to go to LA or New York or anywhere else where they usually made films, so he bought an old school. And basically, the school was turned into his production offices and sets. So
it was in the gym.
Yeah. So it's for me again. It's I'm glad the old man's there, because that gives it the heart. It gives it some heart. Otherwise, it would just be a wisecracking kid. I believe this is Macaulay Culkin's second film. And second film with John Hughes. Yeah, Uncle Buck
and John Candy.
First. Yeah.
Is John Candy in this film? Is he in Home Alone?
The Polka King.
Of course, yeah, in the back of the van.
Polka.
I think it's schmaltzy but violent, and it kind of balances out in the end. Yes, I'm going to put it on the list. Amelia, what do you think?
There we go. I was so speechless by your commentary. And no, I think I do agree. I think, though, controversially this year, Home Alone is being remade for Disney Plus. So will we be watching the new version and be like, oh, this is so much better? I'm not sure. I haven't seen it yet. It's got Irish comedian in playing the mum, and they've got another very cute kid, so that will be interesting to see. But I think the classic will always be something that is close to people's hearts, so I would definitely agree with what you've previously said.
Well, again, that's another five clean sweep.
Full house. Wow.
Full house so far. So
you guys give up, or are you thirsty for more?
Well, we shall find out when we ask Dan. What have you got for us next?
I feel like this might be the first slightly divisive one.
Don't pick mine, Dan.
Don't do it, Dan.
Could it be a Halloween film? Could it be a Christmas film? Who knows? The Pumpkin King. He's growing tired of the same old thing, and he stumbles across a door in the woods that leads him to Christmas Town. And inspired by all the colourful magic he discovers, he tries with the best intentions to hijack Christmas and make it his own. It's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, although apparently he didn't direct it, just wrote it and created the characters. It's another one that I've loved, been fascinated with since a kid. It kind of freaked me out when I was younger, and then it grew on me as I went into my teens. And Despite the creepy characters, I think it's much more of a Christmas movie than a Halloween film. And again, it's a huge part of that is the soundtrack. What's This and Making Christmas are two tracks that I love to stick on at Christmas time as well. And yeah, it's definitely got the Christmassy feel, so I think it deserves to be on the list.
Okay. Excellent. I am going to say that I have never actually watched this all the way through.
No.
That's a sign that John doesn't like it. That's always a sign he doesn't like it.
Well, actually, it's more of a case of every time I've had a chance to see it, it's kind of been at the wrong time of day, or my kids have hijacked my TV and watching something else. So I've just never got round to it.
Yeah, make them watch it.
Make them watch it. Okay.
Do they not have an interest in watching it?
They will now.
I think weirdly, having just come off the back of Halloween, I've just watched Frankenweenie, another Tim Burton animation from with my youngest. So I think I've got more of a chance now. But it's one of those films that's it's got a reputation and a legacy because we've watched James and the Giant Peach, which are the same guys. Frankenweenie now.
Skeletons in James and Giant Peach.
So yes, yeah, and the whole underwater pirate thing's actually quite interesting too. It's a very good take. So although I would like to put it on because I have seen bits and pieces of it, I've never actually seen it as a whole. It's the first one I'm ever going to have to abstain from. So there you go. So Matt.
Yes, this was my number one pick. This one, so Dan got in there first.
Sorry, Matt.
But it was the very first VHS video. In fact, it's probably one of the first films that I ever. In fact, it was the first film that I ever bought by myself with my own money. I can't remember what job I think I was doing, like working in a coffee shop, serving like posh people cups of afternoon like cream teas and stuff, and I bought a VHS of this, and at first I didn't really like it, and I don't know why I didn't like it. I think it does have like that tint, that kind of adult themes in it that can be quite unapproachable to a certain age group. I think if you're really young, it works really well. I think if you're that kind of like burgeoning teen, I'm not sure it worked. It didn't work. Certainly didn't work for me anyway. And it wasn't until like a few years after that, kind of like mid-90s, that I really started to appreciate it for what it was and picked up the soundtrack. Like Dan said, it's just got a great soundtrack. My favorite is the Oogie Boogie song. I love all the characters in it. The character designs, the production design is just exquisite in it. And Henry Selick, and the director, I just think, for me, it's the best stop motion animation that's ever been done, ever. Like Aardman, everything. It's just, I think it's just stunning. And it was done so long ago, like now, you know, what we're talking 30 years ago now. It's just fantastic. And Tim Burton came up with the story and the whole premise like in the very early 80s. So it was being like bandied around and thought about for such a long time. And you can tell because it's got that genius about it, that genius that's been created over those years to just produce something that's so stunning. And it took up 20 sound stages. And at one point they were using all the sound stages and all the puppeteers and the craftsmen that have built these stages and all these puppets, 227 puppets, and Jack Skellington had 400 heads. So for each of his expressions, I'm in awe of that kind of animation. I just think it's absolutely incredible. And a brilliant cast as well. Danny Elfman, who did the music and the songs and the lyrics, he also sang the voice of Jack Skellington. And it was his voice that he was singing. And Chris Sarandon, who is Susan Sarandon's brother, and Chris Sarandon is quite a big actor who you may or may not know. He's been in quite a lot of films. He was just the normal acting voice, the talking voice of Jack Skellington. It's got Paul Rubens in it, and you know Paul Rubens, Pee-wee's Big Top Adventure, and all those sort of films. Just brilliant. It's both hideous and cute at the same time, and it does just have that kind of eruption of imagination that is so captivating. And again, my favorite character is definitely Oogie Boogie. And when he plays the little murder Santa game to try and kill Santa, I just think it's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, gotta go on.
Right. Okay then. Amelia, how about yourself?
I've only ever seen this once, and the reason I'm going to say yes is because I watched one of the behind the scenes programs that is available on various streaming services, and it was just amazing. And the reason I'm saying yes is because it was the sheer sort of like force of the production team that actually got it produced, and it was actually made it into a classic. So they sort of talked about the fact that Tim Burton was busy making Batman at the time, and the fact that sort of they really had to, because it was such a big thing, they went massively over budget. You know, it was a lot of people who were newer to the industry. It was a very new cutting edge thing at the time. It was so seeing those sort of things and seeing the process behind it. And I mean, when you think about the animation, there's about 110,000 frames in Nightmare Before Christmas, and it took them 3 years to make. And when Matt was obviously talking about all the different reactions and all the different, you know, setups that you need just for one shot, especially if there's so many characters, I have to say yes, purely because, you know, so many people against all odds actually made that film and got it finished and got it out there, and that's something that everyone should be so proud of.
And I love that Disney didn't stand by it at first, and they sort of released it under Touchstone, and then now that it's become so successful, I mean, you see all the toys and everything in Disney stores and everything as soon as Halloween comes around, and then obviously now it's like it's now branded as an official Disney film, but
exactly, and it's
stand by it.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that it started off as such a little idea, and then it's now just such a big thing. And it's for all of us, sometimes when we have little ideas, and you're like, oh, maybe one day it could be that. But the fact they carried on and they kept going and they fought to get that money to get it finished, it's like that's why I have to say yes, is purely because of the pioneering work that the production team did to get it done.
Blood, sweat, and tears. You can see that on the screen, can't you? Yeah, it is incredible. And if you ever get the chance to see the behind the scenes stuff on the DVD, or on TV or whatever, you can see it. It's so fascinating. It really is so fascinating. And I'm really glad that Amelia said that it's been, because it was a cult classic, wasn't it? It was a cult classic, and now it's just recognised as one of the best Christmas films ever made. So you know, it's grown up as we've grown up.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely more a Christmas film than a Halloween film. And actually, I believe, I'm willing to be corrected on this, this was actually written by Tim Burton when he was working as an animator at Disney. This was kind of like his antidote to kind of keep him sane while he was working there. And bless you. This 3 films.
Was that 3 then? Was that 3?
3 films.
3? We're on
3 films, 3 on the list. So that's Muppets Christmas Carol.
Chris, would you have said? Sorry, we've got Chris. Chris, did we have Chris?
Oh, sorry, Chris. Yes.
I really like this film. It is on my list. It's interesting that it came out the same year as Muppet, and both, you know, all 3 films so far. It's a great film. Danny Elfman's score. Tim Burton seems to love gothic Christmas, doesn't he? So he's done Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands, and this technically, all set in around Christmas. And I think the newer Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that was they had a big Christmas thing in that as well. It's a great film. I can't disagree with any of the points. I love it.
Excellent. So even with Chris, we are 3 for 3. Muppets Christmas Carol, Home Alone, and Nightmare Before Christmas, all on our list. So comes round to my
that had 3 of those. All 3 of them were on that one piece of paper.
Oh, no.
All my list is just going down now.
Anything from the 80s or the noughties, John?
Well, this is my I've got one from the 80s and I've got one from the noughties.
Ooh.
Same.
And they're actually strangely slightly similar. And I don't know whether to go classic or up to date. One being an animation and one being
exactly the same one.
Yeah, I know the animation one that you're thinking of.
Right.
Pick one so the Matt will have one left.
Should we guess?
Go on.
When you pick one, John. Say you've picked one, and then give us a little hint, and we'll try and guess. It's our little after dinner Christmas game.
This is our Christmas cracker.
I'm going to go for. Yeah. Okay. What do you think? Which ones?
Are you going the early one or the later one?
I'm going to go for the earlier one.
Ooh.
Has it got something to do with the Christmas Carol?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm out. Somebody else.
I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's golf.
We talking 80s?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, 80s animation.
Oh no, sorry. I said the later one, didn't I? Did I say the early one or the later one?
No, you said the earlier one.
The earlier one.
Right. Okay. The earlier one
I'm so
is not
confused.
It's all right. The earlier one is not an animation from the 80s.
So which one are you doing? Which one are you doing?
I'm doing the earlier one. I'm doing the
which is
earlier
live
one,
action.
Which is live action.
Right.
Okay.
Does my question still fit? Was it anything to do with the Christmas Carol?
Neither of them are to do with the Christmas Carol.
Okay. Somebody else go.
Is it to do with Santa Claus?
Yes.
It's Christmas.
Is it Santa Claus the movie?
It's Santa Claus the movie.
Oh, well done, Chris.
Yeah.
Well done.
Now, yeah, right. Santa Claus the movie. You will believe a reindeer can fly, because this is a film from the people who brought you Superman. Same crews, same people. It's
The original or Superman 3?
Superman.
And 4.
Well, up to
It's not
3.
a Saltzman production.
Up to 3 was with the same people. It was the last one, which was canon. It was 4, which was the canon film.
This is not a Superman podcast.
No, it's not. So yes, Santa Claus the movie.
Stay on target. I've got to stop drinking. Sorry.
It's all right. I've got that shirt for Sunday for the next podcast. Right. Basically, this is a really, really nice, really 80s take, really sweet take on how Santa becomes Santa and why. And the only thing that, and like I say, evil industrialists. Basically, Santa's doing his job fine, and then all of a sudden, automation comes in and starts to ruin things, and then Dudley Moore's little elf breaks everything, so he gets kicked out and ends up going and finding his own way to be another Santa, to help Santa. But it turns out that he actually he basically kind of ruins everything with John Lithgow's Industrialist. It's a weird little camp. It's got exactly the same charm as Superman, as it does to today, as Superman does to the films of today. You'd expect this in a children's graphic novel, or this is kind of like the children's book version of Santa, and I really like it. I actually love Dudley Moore's car, the flying car with the dust, using the reindeer's flying dust to power it. I know one's probably more of a tough sell than most of the ones on the list, but to be fair, I think this is one I saw it in the pictures when it came out, and it has a charm. So I suggest that this should go on the list. I think this is probably the Santa Claus most Santa Claus movies? So, who would like to go first? Matt?
I'll go first. I'm furiously looking through my internet here. Not for facts and figures. I'm trying to look because I'm much like John and I are a similar age. I'm not saying that I'm older than John at all, but we are similar age. And I remember queuing up for the cinema, my local cinema in Northwich, and it was one of those old school cinemas that was clearly a music hall, like in the 1940s. So there was like tiers and tiers, like you see in the West End. So it was a theatre in the traditional sense, and it had the most comfortable seats. They may have stank of cigarettes and of like bits of food and all sorts of stuff, and like sweat and tears, but they were so comfy. They were really. It's like your old mattress when you were growing up. And this cinema fit.
Sweat and tears.
Sweat. Well, the movies. It's sad. You're going to see a rom-com. Cry. And it seated about, I reckon it must have been over 500 people. It was one of those massive ones, proper health hazards. If it caught on fire, like everyone would have died straight away. And I remember queuing up and not being able to get in because my birthday is Boxing Day, and this film came out obviously at Christmas. And it was sold out, like completely sold out. And bearing in mind, there was only one cinema within about 30 miles. So, it was often sold out. But I remember queuing up with my friends, and we'd go out for like an early birthday party, because obviously no one was around on Boxing Day. So I was a very lonely child. So we'd go out and have an early birthday, and I couldn't get in. It was sold out completely. And I'm furiously looking through IMDb to try and find out the film that we went to see instead, because it was a 2-screen cinema, right? So there was another film on there, and I can't remember. This has got nothing to do with the film that you're talking about, because I didn't see it until years and years later when it was on TV. And it is. Go on.
Maybe we could try and work it out then.
Well, it's 1985.
I think
85.
It's 1985. Yeah.
This is the Christmas after Ghostbusters.
I think they had a re-release of Back to the Future on at Christmas because it was so popular, and obviously
maybe it was just still in the cinema.
It could have been. It was like July.
Because was it not September in UK?
I think it was Back to the Future. I think we all went to see Back to the Future because obviously everyone had seen it already, and we went to see it again. Prize. So it was a consolation prize. I really remember that because I was so desperate to go and see Santa Claus the movie, because I was a proper Christmas kid where I really did used to stay up like until I fell asleep, completely passed out, trying to hear the reindeer and Santa's sleigh like coming through the sky. I was that sort of kid, and I really wanted to see this film. It was like, I think it must have been about my 6th or 7th birthday. Anyway, I never saw it. We went to see Back to the Future. I never saw it for years afterwards until it was on TV, and it was a good movie, but by that point it passed me by. And as much as I love Dudley Moore, I think there are better films out there, and I can't really remember it too much. I haven't seen it for such a long time, and it's one of those ones that I don't genuinely look up to try and. I'm sure it's really good, and it's probably for shame for me that I just can't remember it. But if I had gone and seen it that year, maybe it would have been my number one, John. Maybe it would have been up there as well. But Dudley Moore rocks, though.
Yeah. So that's a no for the list from Matt.
That's a no. Sorry, that's a no. But again, I'm sure it's a great movie.
No, absolutely. Well, that's the best reason for not sticking it on the list. Amelia, here we go.
Again, I had to do a little Google because, and I have seen it. So one of my memories of childhood, because I watched it on the TV, is when we had the massive big box TVs, like the huge ones. And I remember watching Dudley Moore. Now I can't remember the plot line of it, and I don't think I've watched it again, but I remember that being on one Christmas. So I'm only going to say no, but that's because that's only my sort of fragmented memory, and I wasn't actually born when the film was released, so I can only apologise.
Every week we get AIDS. We get AIDS. if it's not Paul trying to wheedle his young age in there every week. Like, I was listening to the last pod, and Paul was trying to like wheedle in how young he is compared to the rest of us. So anyway, I'm off topic. Go.
Yeah,
But Dan's in the same boat as well. So
True.
Well, the girl wearing the Doctor Who Christmas jumper is talking about not liking something because it was made before she was born.
Classics are classics.
Episodes that were made after, so slightly different.
Santa's forever. Santa's forever.
As proven by the film. So,
other versions I prefer more. So there.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's Chris now. Chris, do I have a fan or?
I'm really pleased that you've nominated this. I'm really pleased that you've nominated this, John. It's on my list. I loved this film growing up. I watched it every year when it came on TV. I'm just a couple of years younger than yourself and Matt. So I was only 4 when it came out in the cinema, so I had to wait till it was on TV. But the magic of the film is just fantastic. It's very 80s. It's very cheesy, very camp, but it's brilliant. It like you say, it is the best depiction of a traditional Santa, Saint Nicholas, that there has ever been on film, I think. And it is magical, and they really do sell the idea of Santa and elves and the reindeer, and it's beautiful, a great film. And John Lithgow is an amazing baddie. I still have these vivid images of him eating the pink rocks that Dudley Moore brings, that makes him fly, and he's just scoffing them down. He's it's brilliant. And then getting
Christmas
getting
too.
Yeah. getting the reindeer to fly again because people have stopped believing in him. And then geeing them up to get ready to fly is just I love it. So yes, it is a yes from me.
Do you know what? I feel this movie is undersold, like throughout moviedom. I think throughout Hollywood, throughout anyone who ever watches Christmas. I think this movie, it sounds genuinely like it's really good, and I'm so sad that I can't like experience what you guys are experiencing about it. But I think it's going to be like, you should sell this one as a proper hidden gem. I think. I don't see it on TV. I don't see it on TV anymore.
It's not on very often, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it must be a rights thing, but it's definitely a film of kind of 2 parts. When you say, John, that there's very much the traditional Christmas and Santa at the North Pole, and he's getting all snuggly with Mrs. Claus in their amazing little wooden bed thing, which I always wanted when I was growing up. And then you've got the Dudley Moore fish out of water, going to the big city, and then being kind of lured in by John Lithgow's industrialist. And then
you've got the street kids who
the urchins,
Santa helps out, who ends up going with Santa and meeting the rich granddaughter. I think it's daughter, but it turns out to be that that's John Lithgow's family. So it all kind of ties up in the end. But it's a touching childhood thing, and
and the opening song is very memorable. I still remember now. Every Christmas Eve, we are part of a miracle. And famously, it was sung by Ala Jones. Although it was meant, they had an American or a Scandinavian girl mouthing along to his falsetto, and that's kind of a famous bit of trivia that Ala Jones did not sing the Snowman theme, but he sang the theme to Santa Claus the movie.
Santa Claus the movie. Excellent. Okay, so
come on, Dan.
2-4, 2 against.
I've never seen it.
I love that I am going to be the person that gets to decide whether this goes on the list or not.
The power.
Because if I say yes, it means that I have 4 for 4 on my list currently. Because this
He's got
is
it.
my all-time.
Really?
Like, growing up, it's not my all-time favorite, but growing up, it was the Christmas film that we had. I'm pretty sure it was taped off VHS, so
I'm pleased, mate.
It was always get a spin every year. Sometimes even in the middle of the summer, like I just stick it on just because I liked it that much. And yeah, I can't sell it any more than the other guys have. I just love. I'm a sucker for a traditional Santa. It is the most traditional depiction of Santa in moviedom, as Chris said, and I just love all like the wooden toys in it, and the whole montage of kids playing on the toys, and then because they've been made using automation, they start to fall apart, and that's why Dudley Moore gets booted out. And and the teddy bear full of nails. Like how evil can you be?
Oh
like,
my god!
Glass and nails. Yeah.
You totally reminded me, Dan. I'd forgotten all about that. Yeah, they kind of it played into the whole 80s scare your 8 kids, you know.
No. John Lithgow's making shoddy toys by filling them with sawdust and nails.
Yeah,
he runs a toy company, and that's why Dudley Moore ends up going to him with his to get him to help him to make toys.
The montage of all the kids opening their shoddy presents and getting injured is brilliant.
Oh, we've got 3 acolytes here for this film with me. Amelia, we've got 3 acolytes here. I think we're going to be beaten down for this one. It's really good. I'm so pleased that like Dan, who I wouldn't have said that Dan would have gone, yes, let's have this. Yes, let's have it.
I'm going to say I am surprised, man.
I've still got like they used to give out DVDs in the newspaper.
Yeah.
It was given out with a newspaper. Yeah, I've still got it because it never comes on TV, so I've still got it at home, and kept it down from the loft because a lot of my DVDs went up in the loft, but that one I had to get that and rescue it before it got sent out.
That's great. Well,
I get Hope against Hope. 3-2.
Our first 80s film.
Our first 80s film, Santa Claus the movie. Now, Matt. The last one of the first run through. What you got for us, man?
I've got everything to lose here, haven't I? Everything to lose. I've only got 2 left. I've got a big list of things, but I've got 2 that are specific. And much like you, John, I've got one that is quite modern, and one that is traditional, but not too traditional. You know.
Okay.
Going back to the 80s. I'm going to go for the one in the 80s. I'm going to go back to the 80s again. And this is all to do with, like, hang on a second. Let me just turn because it's my go. I'm going to turn this. Is that going to kill people with
No, I love it.
Maybe
bring some extra cheer.
Slow flash, man. Slow change.
Sorry, there we go. I'll go in there.
You go.
So I'm going to go for another cult classic. I'm going to go for another cult classic from 1988, and this is coming off the back of, for one of the actors in it, coming off the back of a massive hit which you guys spoke about last pod, which won't be the last pod for this pod, but may or may not have been, but around sort of like spooky October the 31st time, and it was coming off the back of that film for one of the actors, and he hadn't made a film for like 3 or 4 years because of his success of that film, and he came back with this dark take on A Christmas Carol, another Christmas Carol movie, because a lot of these movies are based on a Christmas Carol. So I'm going to go for Scrooged, Bill Murray in Scrooged. With the brilliant Carol Kane as their Ghost of Christmas Present, who was so pivotal in this movie for me. I mean, everyone knows the story of A Christmas Carol, right? Everyone knows the story of A Christmas Carol. So this was like a modernist retake of it, and Bill Murray plays like a TV executive who is a bit misanthropic. He's a bit kind of, I hate the world. I'm selfish, cynical, and he's all about money. And he's the Scrooge character. and he gets visited by the ghosts of present, future, and past, and we go on that journey with him. But I just love it. It's dark, it's crude, it's lavish, it's sentimental at the same time. It's riddled with loads of cameos. You got Robert Mitchum in there. You got Karen Allen from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Bobcat Goldthwait. Anyone can do Bobcat Goldthwait voice accent? No. No one can.
Only Bobcat. Only Bobcat can do Bobcat.
Only Bobcat can do Bobcat. And he's the guy that gets. He plays the character that gets sacked. So I'm assuming he's the Bob Cratchit character. Music by Danny Elfman. It's brilliant. It's a return to film for Bill Murray. It was written by a couple of Saturday Night Live script writers who came in, and they made the original script really, 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 really funny, like genuinely funny, not as dark as it turned out to be. And Richard Donner, who we all know made The Goonies and Superman 2 and lots of other films, who sadly died recently, didn't he? He died recently. Yes. Very sad. Yes. And he and Bill Murray didn't get on very well, and there was a lot of tension between the two of them because Bill Murray was doing his usual improvisations, and he was just being like the big actor, the big funny actor, and he was creating these amazing sequences. And Richard Donner wanted to keep it like lots of special effects, and it did. I think he got nominated for a makeup special effect Oscar, although it didn't win. Lost out to Beetlejuice, I think, reading on the internet. Which, the link between Danny Elfman and Tim Burton and Beetlejuice and Scrooge. There's all these links going on here. I love it. I love the ending. I just absolutely love the ending. It's just brilliant. You've got Put a Little Love in Your Heart song, which was a massive hit for Al Green and Annie Lennox. I think it went to number 1 in loads of different countries. Fantastic special effects, the staging, the makeup, the fun, the darkness. I'm a bit of I like dark Christmas stuff. I like a bit gothic-y. I'm that sort of person, and I love it. It's brilliant. It's a difficult film to appreciate. It didn't do very well at all. Didn't do very well because people didn't like Bill Murray's performance in it. They found that although he was quite funny, that he was a bit kind of, obtuse and a bit unlikable, which is the character in the first place. So it's a cult classic, and I think it still remains a cult classic. I don't think it's done that Nightmare Before Christmas where it's moved beyond that into the realms of kind of like the populace. But again, this was another VHS that my sister bought. I think it was one of her early ones that she bought. And we used to watch it constantly. I just think it's funny. I love it. It's not on the top of my list, but for me, I think it's a classic, edgy, a little bit edgy Christmas movie. So hopefully, I don't think I'm getting the vibe that this is going on, but I'd like to think that it's appreciated somewhere out there.
Okay, so first one to appreciate it, would that be Amelia?
So I want to buck the trend of maintaining that I don't watch films that were made before I was born. I have actually seen this. That's fine. I've watched stuff previously. We can talk about the black and white version of The Lady Killers in another podcast, but hey.
We can.
Yeah, I have watched this, but I'm going to say no purely because there's things like Muppets Christmas Carol, and I feel like
that's already on. It's already there.
I know, but I feel like if I'm then comparing the two versions of A Christmas Carol, I just prefer that one. So sorry, Matt.
Okay then. Chris, you're up next.
I'm really sorry. I've always struggled with this film, and I can't put my finger on it. I'm a huge Bill Murray fan, maybe it is the cynical sort of unlikable performance, but it just didn't. It's never gelled with me, I'm afraid. Sorry.
It's a lot. I've got that sense of feeling. It didn't do very well, and it is because of that, I think. And a lot of people don't really like it. I'm going to cry. Go on, John. John, I think you're next. No, is it Dan? It's Dan next.
Dan.
Especially after the reaction I got from saying yes to the last one, I want to be able to go, yeah, but I'm afraid like
whitewash.
it's one of those where because I think it's on Netflix pretty much every Christmas, if not all year round. I keep going back to it, but it's one of those that I stick on it late at night, and I'm too tired I end up dozing off. And I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but yeah, it hasn't gripped my attention, or just I'm a bit too tired, so I can't really say yes, unfortunately.
Okay. Unfortunately, Matt, it's the first one not to make it, because that's.
What about you, John? Would you have?
Well, poor Lumpy. I'd probably given it a set of steak knives. I kind of like it. I think it's a different telling. If you're going to have a Muppets Christmas Carol, I think this is actually a really good counterpoint. You can see that Richard Donner's got a bit of his scary ghost head on, where the golf balls falls out of Bill Forsyth's head, and the mouse with it pushing it out, and the bit where he holds him through the window of the skyscraper. The fact that ghosts a few, basically the ghosts are actually pretty traditional, apart from one being a taxi driver.
That section of the film is very, very traditional. The bookends aren't, but the bit in the middle is.
Yeah.
The ghost of future didn't
Chris,
she injure? Oh no, hang on, sorry, who am I thinking of? The female ghost.
Carol Kane.
Carol Kane.
Yeah, didn't she injure Bill Murray when she? I'm sure there's a fact where in the scene where she's fighting with him, she actually broke his finger or something like that, whilst they were filming.
Probably.
I can't remember the exact fact.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, John.
It looks like they're going hammer and tongs at it. So,
they genuinely are, and I think she was from Saturday Night Live as well. So I think they had a history together, so they were used to kind of like pinging off each other and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just an acquired taste, unfortunately. I think it's a Marmite film. I think, but looking at it, I view it in the sense that going back to that Halloween pod that you guys did, that I see it in the sense that it's a similar type of film to The Witches. From Nicholas Roeg's film from the early 1990. It's that kind of, it's so dark, it's not really liked, and not a lot of people enjoy it, but it's well respected critically. That's why it's one of those ones that is a tough sell, but it's certainly not the funnest film for Christmas.
Yeah. Well, at least it doesn't have any screaming kids in it, is what considering that's the reason I don't like Goonies. Okay, so right, we've been round once. We are back to Amelia. Do you have another film to help us with?
This is really tricky because there's 3 other films that I definitely think should be in the list, but because my mum told me that I should put this one on the list, I'm going to go with a slightly. She genuinely did. She was
Don't listen to your mum.
Well, let's just see her choice, and then I'll call her up here, and then you can tell her why it doesn't get on the list. So.
Okay,
bring her on.
She has got to bring on my laptop charger in a minute. So yeah, good luck, guys. If you say no,
get mum involved. Yeah,
she would love it. You wouldn't get rid of her. She'd be better than me. So the one that she really loves, and it is a family favorite, is Nativity. It is a more recent film, but this is a family favorite because she used to be an infant school teacher, so she can genuinely tell you that this film is incredibly accurate. And also, like, the great thing about this is it's got some amazing stars in it. It's got Martin Freeman, Ashley Jensen, it's got Pam Ferris, who obviously played Miss Trunchbull in Matilda, but is a far nicer head teacher in this. And of course, Mr. Poppy, who wears his coat like a cape and is just as excited about the Nativity play as the children. But what I really like about this is, again, it was another small production that shouldn't have become a Christmas classic. The kids were actually, basically, they were all improvising. They were not child actors. It was their first time. And then essentially they shot about 120 hours of footage during 6 weeks of filming. And then the director spent 10 months editing the film in her back bedroom. And I just feel like that's is so impressive, and the fact that they got kids to improvise in such an amazing way, and that's so funny. I just really love it. And of course I do like the sequels as well. Danger in the Manger with David Tennant, Doctor Who reference, obviously that is another great one. And then Dude, Where's My Donkey, great song that you'll be humming along to all day. So yeah, make my mum happy and add it to the top 5.
Right. Okay. So back to school. Dan. Oh no, sorry, Chris. You get first dibs on this one.
Is Chris? Oh, he's there.
Sorry, Amelia, your mum is wrong.
Oh,
Oh man,
I mean,
you dissed her mum.
I know, right?
This has it's I've never really got it as a film, and I think it works better as a stage show. And I don't know, it has a vibe of like a TV movie, and I think I don't know whether it had kind of that budget and they were aiming for a TV release, and then they just thought, oh well, maybe we can have a theatrical, but it's a huge impressive British cast, and there are funny moments in there, but I think competing with some it's not going to be up there with some of the other mega blockbuster Christmas movies that have been before or after.
Right.
Oh, here you go.
Okay,
She's
then.
actually coming now. You're gonna be in trouble, I think, Mum. They're discussing Nativity, and
Get my mum on you.
Mum.
Hello, Mrs. Hayward. How are you doing?
Listen to it. They're about to tell you.
I'm really sorry. We're really sorry. We've had one negative.
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Hayward. This is a first for our podcast.
Welcome.
Yes, not only has Amelia been on this the most, other than the irregulars. This is the first family member we've actually had gate crash. So pleasure to meet you.
Here's why we hate your film.
Yeah.
I'm curious to be fair, know, is it what is your favorite Christmas movie out of interest?
Me in particular.
Yeah.
I suppose I do really like Nativity because I used to teach that age of kids, you see. So when I watched it, there was so much in it that I'd experienced with every nativity that we'd been through. So, it was for real.
Oh, see, Chris, right. You've got to change your mind.
Well, we've had one strike against, unfortunately, so far. So
it's 1-for-1 at the moment.
We need to discuss this further. See if we can make it onto the list for you. How's that?
All right then. I'll let you talk about it, and but that's my reasoning.
No, thank you very much.
Even down to wearing the plimsolls and etc. It's all very real.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We're going to return to our. Thank you very much. We'll return to our regular programming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs.
There you go. I told you there'd be trouble. Did you say yes in the end? Did she? Oh no.
Oh, she's going to fill you in. Sorry.
There we go. Right. Okay. So that's a no from Chris.
Chris is on the naughty list.
I kind of get the feeling that he might not be the only one. Dan?
Yeah, it's not going to make it for me, I'm afraid. I want to like it because I like how British it is. I just think that the whole concept of the nativity. Actually, I suppose you do see it in American movies and stuff. They reference the kind of school play thing, but I just feel like the chaos surrounding kind of a British nativity, just there's nothing that matches it. Like, you think back to school, and I remember there'll be like somehow the Teletubbies would make it in. Like, I remember the Teletubbies making it into the nativity one year at my school, and you think like how the hell that happens. But as a film, yeah, it's never really struck a chord with me, so I'm gonna have to say no.
Okay, so that's 2-1. My go, and from an ex-Angel Gabriel who got demoted down to first sheep over my years.
At least you were the first sheep, John.
Well, yes.
Silver linings and all
Look,
that.
but to be fair, I'm the only Angel Gabriel who forgot Jesus's name. So, yeah, exactly. Mary, you shall go to Bethlehem, and you shall have a baby, and his name shall be. And Mary turned around and said, "Jesus." Yes, that's right. So
Line.
lied. Luckily, she covered for me.
How do you remember? I can't remember anything.
That's not my first rodeo either. But anyway,
this was last year. This was last year.
Back to
last year.
Yeah, this has happened last year.
Back to the nativity.
Really a traumatic period in John's life.
Back to the nativity. I think it's a nice little curio, but again, I'm actually going to say no, which is actually going to leave the way for Matt to go, yeah, of course I loved it, because it's not going to get on the list. So
no,
I'm
Matt
sorry,
didn't love it either.
I didn't love it, but listen. Like, how many people have gone now? 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't go on now, right? We can't get.
No, the best it can do it's tie if we include your mum's vote.
This is my kid, right? And this is a hilarious thing, Amelia, because I was talking to my 2 kids before we came on and did this earlier after school, and I was like, Daddy's going to do his podcast today, and we're going to do traditional Christmas films. And for them, alternative Christmas films haven't really come around, because I've not decided to show my 9-year-old Bad Santa yet. So maybe this year, who knows? But there was like, well, so what's your favorite? So they were helping me out, doing the list and stuff. And they went, Daddy, Nativity. And I'm like, oh God, oh no, it's an I really don't like the film at all. And they know that. It's a running joke through because they love them all. They love every single one of them. And I said, I bet you, because they were talking about Nativity 2 and that David Tennant plays twins, doesn't he? In it, and I said, yeah. I bet you Amelia talks about Nativity 100%, because we know
that one.
Because I've told you
the original,
the other one, yeah. But because they know, like, my daughter's a massive Doctor Who fan, and I often spoke to her about Amelia, because you're a massive Doctor Who fan as well, and David Tennant, and so the whole thing kind of linked in together. And she really enjoyed the last episode that came out the other day, by the way, Doctor Who stuff. So there's a problem that I have with Nativity, is that, as Chris said, it's really kind of TV. It's just a bit cheap looking and a bit kind of like, like an episode of something that failed and didn't do very well, and kind of, was quite jolly because it was Christmas, and everyone thought, oh, I'm a bit pissed. I'll watch this. It's quite funny, this. I just don't like it. I don't know. It's just never grabbed me. But that being said, I'm going to say yes, because my kids love it. So.
I mean, there has to be something
somewhere.
There has to be something said about the fact that it spawns 2 sequels. So I mean, yeah,
more than that. I think
more.
4. Yeah, there's more.
There's wow.
There's loads more. I think there's about 4.
Yeah, I think it's because I quite like independent films. So there's another few sort of ones that I've watched on Amazon, and that they wouldn't make the top 5, but they're still, a bit more low budget, because you realize like how much filmmakers have to put in even to get to that stage, like how much money it costs. So for me, like, I do love a little indie Christmas film, because I think that's
was it Richard Curtis?
I don't think so. No,
not directly. Not directly. Okay. It may be. Is it a working title? It might be a working title.
Pathos
release,
and working title. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she was doing editing with her, and it's basically her partner who edited it, the director's partner. So I'm guessing it was on more of a budget, and from obviously like the talent that they, in terms of like all the child actors and stuff, they weren't trained performers. So I think it was low budget for what.
6 million, apparently. 6 million, which is very,
that
very
is
low.
That is low budget.
Very low.
Something like that.
Okay.
Pocket money.
Well, unfortunately, Nativity does not make our list.
Oh, shame.
So-
I voted for it. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it.
Only because he lives locally to me, so
Yeah.
Matt's worried if he bumps into my mum, then there's going to be problems.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
Right.
she's only around the corner. I know who you are. Yeah.
Matt, she knows where you live, mate.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
not-
then.
I'm more worried about my daughter. I forget your mum. I'm worried about my daughter.
Here we go then. Okay, so we've knocked off the Nativity. Chris, your second film. What have you got
Okay.
for us?
Right. So I have two definites on my list and one maybe, but we mentioned Christmas Carol several times in different guises. So I'm going to discount my last one. So I've got an early 80s and a fairly contemporary classic. And I'm going to go with 1983's A Christmas Story. This is a huge film in America. It's all, and it's the story of a young boy called Ralphie who looks a lot like I did back when I was his age, blonde hair and glasses. Like Milky Bar Kid kind of vibe. And it's his quest. It's set in the 1950s, so it's really timeless. And it's his quest for his dream Christmas present, which he's wishing for, which is a Red Ryder air rifle. And he begs and pleads with his parents to get this gun. And it's was he 7 or 8, I think. He's got a younger brother, and he's trying to avoid a bully who keeps harassing him around the neighborhood. And it's set in, I'm guessing, the Midwest in America, and he's just obsessed with this gun, getting this gun, and his parents are having none of it. Like, no, you're not getting this. You'll take your eye out. And come Christmas Day, they get around the tree and they're opening their presents, and he's desperately looking for this rifle, and everything he opens is not it. And he's like, well, where is it? And he's so upset. And then finally, his dad comes out with this gun-shaped present, and there it is. He has got the rifle, and he goes outside straight away, still in his pajamas, and loads it and fires it, and it hits him right back in his glasses on the first shot, and breaks his glasses. And it's a great film. It's really heartwarming, and very kind of traditional vibe, and very sort of schmaltzy and cozy. It's like a Christmas blanket wrapping you up. It's great, and the cynical dad's really funny, and the loving mom. And there's a terrific scene where they go to the local and visit Santa. And Santa's like terrifying, and it's a traumatic experience for them, and they get thrown down this slide at the end. It's a great film, and it's usually on every year, and I urge you to check it out if you've not, because it's not as popular in the UK as it is in America, but it's one of my favorites, and I hope you agree with me.
Right, there's a heartfelt plea for a classic. Dan.
See, I've not seen it, so I can't say yes, but I have seen the references online. Like, I feel like it's become like a bit of a meme, and so like it's one that I have sought out recently on like streaming services, but it's just never there. But Chris, you have sold it to me, so I'm going to try and seek it out and watch it this Christmas.
Okay. Chris, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's one that's kind of passed
You don't
me
see it
by.
either?
No. And I've just never got around to it. I've seen it crop up quite a few times on the lists, and and I think I've seen it pop up on Amazon to have a look at, but I've not seen it. So I'm sorry. That's unfortunately 2 strikes against. Matt.
I'm really sorry, Chris. I've never seen it either. I feel like this has passed me by because it's kind of something that I would have watched in my pajamas on Boxing Day, you know, coming downstairs and like playing with your toys for 5 minutes, throwing them to one side and then putting the TV on. I would have put this on and like it sounds like it's right on my street. And I've written it down next to rewatch Santa Claus the movie. So I'm going to check it out because it does sound right up my street, and especially with my kids being still about the right age to watch it.
I'm sure they'll find it funny with the abuse of the Ralphie.
But is this who you were talking about?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
This is you. This is you when you were younger.
That's
Chris.
me. Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Oh, I love
that's
it.
exactly how I look.
It's gone. Yeah. Brilliant. So sorry. Yeah, I just haven't seen it.
Okay, so unfortunately, it's not going to make the list. Amelia,
probably 10 years before
it.
Amelia was born.
I'm not that young. I mean, to be fair though, once you hit over 30, there's very few occasions in life where you are the young person. So that's why I'm milking it for everything.
Yeah, there'll be a time when you will be in our place.
Amelia's such a baby.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like in most of the life, I work with younger people. I know younger people, and I'm the old one. So in this instance, I'm just enjoying being the baby of the group. I've not seen it. Sorry, so I can't say yeah.
Oh, look what I found. Look, this is him now, Chris.
Yeah,
it's just like Chris.
Oh yeah, it's like looking in a mirror.
John, when you edit this, can you do a side by side for Chris?
Oh, I can do that. I'll see what
he looks like he's seen a few nights of the back end of a bourbon whiskey bottle. That guy, unfortunately,
too much.
Are we talking about Chris or the actor?
Other bourbons are available.
Indeed.
I'm very tasty.
Yes, exactly. Right. Okay, then. So, unfortunately, A Christmas Story, it did not make our list. Our 4 are Muppets Christmas Carol, Home Alone, Nightmare Before Christmas, Santa Claus the Movie, Dan. Do we have a 5th?
I'm really hoping that I can get a 5 out of 5 on my list with this one. For fans of Jurassic Park, this one's about a little girl who is raised not to believe in Santa Claus. Her mother hires the real Kris Kringle to be the department store Santa, and he's subsequently framed by the rival store. And he does his best to convince her and the whole of New York that he is the true Santa Claus. It's one of the most heartwarming Christmas films, I think. There's obviously the original version, but I have to go with the 90s version. It's Miracle on 34th Street. It's got Richard Attenborough in it. So brother of David Attenborough. How can you not say yes to that? And to me, like one of the most heartwarming scenes, actually, which I read a fact today that says these when Santa signs to a deaf girl who's telling him what she wants for Christmas. The actress was actually deaf in real life, and Richard Attenborough asked the producers not to tell her that he would reply in sign. So when he signs "What's your name?", the look of surprise on her face is genuine, and I just thought that's the sweetest thing. Miracle on 34th Street. It's got to be on the list.
Right. Okay. Well, I get to go and give a reaction first on this one. And as much as I like the Edmund Gwynn, Natalie, what was her name? Natalie Wood version from 1947. There is something about this John Hughes rewrite from the 90s, which I think it feels so 1950s, 1940s, 1950s, even though it's made in the 1990s. It's kind of really classic. It's really classically staged and lit, and the girl in it is Matilda. What's her name?
I want to say Rooney Mara, but that's not. That's an actress that's out. That's way too old. Mara something, isn't it?
Yes,
Mara something.
Yes,
I didn't name her because I couldn't remember her name as well. But she was in.
She's Matilda,
so much, and then just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Oh, Mara Wilson.
Thank you, Mara Wilson. Now she's now
she's an activist now, I think, isn't she?
And a writer, and she's found her place in the world. She's also on one of my favorite podcasts is on Welcome to Night Vale as a recurring character. She's perfect. She's perfect as the precocious little girl, and her mum plays it. It like I say, the style, even though it isn't, it's such a classical film, even when it comes down to the whole staging of the setup and things like that. And I like that old Hollywood charm. I think it shines through. I mean, so I think there are all the beats are the same, but it's all rather clever and really nicely put together, and it makes you believe that there really could be a Santa Claus. So yeah, I kind of like this one. And yeah, I told this over the Edmund Gwynn one. So that's two votes in its favor. So Matt,
come on, Matt,
how do you feel about Uncle Dickie?
Do you believe?
I do believe. I want to believe. I want to bring it home. But do you know what? I grew up on the 1947 version. I have a real sensitive place for a lot of the old 1940s, 50s movies. You know, like White Christmas and.
Because you went to see them in the cinema.
I did, yeah, I did. I did. We queued up for them, and they were all sold out. So
did you have an intermission and buy you cigarettes?
Yeah, that's how I learned to smoke. Yeah, so Natalie, that was my version, like the early version, and I don't really know. I don't think I've even ever seen like the. I know who's in it, and I know it's around, I know of it, but I just wouldn't choose to watch it. And I love like I've got proper. How does Ali do it? How does this work? You do the heart thing. I've got much love for the original. Yeah, this just looks like I'm about to go or something. But I can't put it on there because I haven't seen, or I can't remember the 1994 version. Maybe yes. It was in 94. But I do like the old one. But that doesn't count, does it? Because you're going for the.
How do you pick out the dates of films that you've not even seen?
Because it's on Wikipedia. It's on Wikipedia. No, I can't do it. Sorry, Dan. You can hit me later. It's fine.
That is such a half. That's such a half. It's such a half mark from Matt, who likes the story but doesn't like the version.
Downvote Matt. Downvote me on YouTube. Downvote.
On to Amelia. How do you feel about 94?
Well, I've never seen it, so I'm afraid I can't say yes. Sorry, it's a no from me.
Amelia.
Oh, Dan.
Dan is shattered. Dan is shattered.
I've just seen other films that are the classics, which you watch, and there's a couple of them that I keep thinking anyone's going to say them right now, but they haven't yet. So when those crop up, I will say yes to that. But sorry, it's not a no for this one.
Out of interest, Amelia. Sorry, Dan. Just pausing for a sec. How many on your list have been mentioned, or how many on your list have not been mentioned yet? Just counting. A number.
There's two other really quite big. I mean, obviously Nativity was a bit of a long shot, but there are two other big films that I would expect to actually. There's probably three that I would expect to be that haven't been mentioned yet.
So you've got three on your list that haven't been mentioned yet.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, Dan.
I know a couple of the ones that she's talking about. As well.
I can guess at some of the ones that are missing.
2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
So anyway. Okay, so anyway, is it Chris? I think you're the only one who hasn't said.
Yeah,
Like
so I thought I would be in the minority with this when I would say I haven't seen it. I'm sorry, Dan.
Oh my god, almost a perfect score.
Yeah, sorry.
You need to go out and see it. It's great. It's a real favorite in our house.
Yeah.
My fiance.
it's a great story.
loves
The
it.
story, the core story, the story is wonderful. It really is wonderful.
And you can buy them as a box set.
There you go.
Yeah, we went to a double bill at Prince Charles one year actually and saw the original
That's
and
cool.
White Christmas.
Ooh.
Dan's a sweetheart. Dan's a sweetheart. He's got a proper soft touch for the old school stuff, man. I can see that.
So, right. Okay. So Amelia, Chris and Dan have both had 2. It's round to me. And with you've my top 7 are kind of top 5 of them are represented already. So we're kind of cutting it close. I'm going to go with one that's pretty much bang up to date, actually. This one hasn't come out of the cinema, basically because the cinemas were shut, and it was financed by Netflix. I don't know if anyone will have seen this one. This is the animated one I was talking about. This came out in. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's all right. Sorry, go on. I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It was. I found this really touching in the same way, and it's like I say, it's almost the same story as Santa Claus the movie. It is the animation Claus. I've got 1. So 2. Right. Okay. So basically, a postman in near the Arctic Circle in Norway gets sent north to increase the postage so the post office can make more money out of letters. But when he arrives in the town, it turns out that there's 2 sets of people fighting it. You got the 2 families in the village fighting each other. At which point the guy, all they do is eat fish. The postman ends up having to trick the kids into sending letters, and he ends up meeting a big backwoodsman who makes toys. He's carving wooden toys, but you find out that he recently lost his wife and he didn't have the kids that he wanted to have. So he's there in the forest on his own and just whittling away, living his life. And the postman basically turns him into Santa Claus. They come to an arrangement, and he becomes Santa Claus without being Santa Claus. The kids start writing letters. They start getting presents, and it all kind of snowballs together. At which point, it seems like the younger part of the 2 families are starting to get closer together because they're playing with toys together, at which point the elders of the village decide to have an all-out war and direct it at Santa. It is another revisiting of the telling of how Santa could have become Santa, the myth. And above anything else, it has a huge heart, because right at the end of the film, it gets really emotional. With regard, for those who haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, but basically it really plays with the emotions, while the postman is also comes to become a nice man and likes to be part of the community, and has found a girlfriend and all of this, and it just it's heartwarming, it's tricksy, I like it. So I suggest Claus, which I am quite happy to believe that few people have seen. So here we go then. Matt, you're first. What do you think? You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry. I apologize.
That's the one time, mate. One time.
Do you know what? If anyone could see, I tried to go to the toilet because I'm desperate for the toilet, and I thought to myself, I can't. I
Might electrocute yourself.
I literally unplugged myself from the plug to go to the toilet. But if you can't see, the toilet is literally behind me. That's the toilet there, right? So I thought I can't go to the toilet because I'll it'd just be all weird because I'll be on camera. So I have seen this film.
For people listening to that audio base, they're not going to understand.
Edit points.
No, leave it in. They can imagine me going to the toilet. It's fine. So Klaus. I always used to call it Klaus. I don't know why I called it Klaus. I think this film was undermarketed, massively undermarketed, right? And I think 2020 didn't do it any favors whatsoever, which was a crying shame because it's a lovely, lovely film. It really is a lovely film. My kids, we watch a lot of, when they pop up like the Christmas Chronicles and Christmas Chronicles 2, when they pop up on Netflix, they're the kind of like the ones they push you towards. And Klaus came on, and we ignored it for such a long time, and it was so poorly marketed, and I don't know why, because it's a great film. That being said, I think there's others out there that are more deserved of a place on the list, but that's not saying that this film in the future may not grow and evolve and age in such a way that I think it probably will be more appreciated in the future. But for me at the moment, I don't get that kind of I want it to go on there, but it is a very good movie, and I want to say that there's a really good song in it as well, like they often do with these films. Like a Zara Larsson song or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it was just poorly marketed, and it's really sad because it is a very good film.
Yeah, we do have 3 spots left, Matt.
No.
Okay, that's fine. No, I'm just making sure. Okay, Amelia.
I'd completely forgotten about this film, and it's such a great film, so I probably should have put it on my list. But so when I originally watched it, I thought, oh well, it's a Disney film, but it's not. But now I realise actually the director Sergio Pablos, he used to work for Disney, so he worked on things like Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, and Tarzan. So that's why it looks so Disney-esque without being a Disney film. And basically, he set up his own animation studio in Madrid.
Wow.
So that's how. But because initially I thought, oh, this is a Disney film, and then realizing that it wasn't. But it's obviously his Disney roots. So yeah, I say yes because it is a beautiful film with a beautiful storyline.
It's got that animation style, hasn't it? He's got that style of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Sorry, not Hunchback. What was the other one? The Greek one.
Tarzan,
Hercules. He's got that kind of character design from that. So you could. I didn't know that until that's. I didn't know that's. But now I can totally see that.
Well, that's Gerald Scarfe.
Say again.
That's actually Gerald Scarfe's character design from Hercules.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Emperor's New Groove, maybe.
That kind of like, that square kind of almost angular type character.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very good fit. It's a good film. It's a good film.
So, Chris.
Never seen it.
There we go. Straight in there.
Never even heard of it.
Oh, fair enough. It's worth having a look at, mate. Yeah.
Take your son to sit.
Yeah.
Watch it with your son. Watch it with your son.
I've not seen it either. Sadly, it wasn't on our list to watch last year, but just didn't get round to it. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of arm twisting to get Christmas movies on before December, and then we've got to kind of work our way through the classics, and then obviously the new releases. So yeah, it kind of got bumped out, unfortunately. By the sounds of it, I would have liked it more than another film, which I'm going to name now because it might get named later, but it really wasn't worth it.
Yeah, no, the one that came out, the one that came out last year was terrible. Well, in that case, I failed miserably again. We're in a bit of a.
You haven't though, because people should go and watch it. I think Chris will watch it with his son. Dan will definitely like this movie.
100% going to watch it.
We're in a bit of a rut. So, Matt, can you dig us out? Have you got a flying reindeer?
Yes. No. Maybe. I want to go all the way back to I want to go back to James Stewart. I really want to talk about James Stewart and It's a Wonderful Life, but I'm not so sure you guys are gonna. Maybe one of you might go for it, but no, maybe I don't know. No, I'm gonna
try it.
No, I'm gonna get. I mean, it should be on there.
Yes.
No, it should be. Well,
stick with your gut, Matt. Stick with your gut.
No. I'm gonna go for 2004 instead, because I really like this movie. So hopefully I've sowed the seeds for somebody else to bring that one up. I'm gonna go for Robert Zemeckis' film from 2004. Yes, with Tom Hanks playing several. Have I made the wrong choice? Playing several different roles. Now, let me say that this film is derided because it was the first film to fully CGI motion capture actors in roles, right? And if you watch it now, it's absolutely amazing. The adventure, the magic, the high adventure of it all is just phenomenal. It's enchanting, it's exhilarating, it's edge of your seat. Yes, they've got dead creepy zombie eyes and everything, but I think that adds to the mysticism, the magicalness of it. I love it. I think it's creepy because of that, and the whole thing about being at the North Pole is a bit creepy, and finding some randy kind of train driver stopping at your house to pick you up in the middle of the night is a bit creepy. So I like it. I think it's actually a really good film. If you go back and watch it now, although the animation has aged quite badly, the core film is really very, very good. And it was a massive hit as well. Not a lot of people know that. It was a huge hit. It made a lot of money. Made about 6 times its budget. It made about $500 million. All sold with all the media releases and stuff. It won a couple of Oscars. It got some nominations here and there. And Tom Hanks, bless him. Tom Hanks, come on. Tom Hanks is Mr. Number One actor who said, I got COVID when I was in Australia, and he was on TV going, look at me. And he's just fantastic. And he wanted to perform every single role in the film. And he got too tired, bless him. And so Robert Zemeckis had to get other actors in to motion capture the other characters in the film. And it's actually a really good film, and shame on you if you don't like it. So I think it should go on the list. And it's got some fantastic songs in it as well, really good songs. In fact, I think that was the Oscar. It either won it or it was one of the nominations for it. But yeah, it's creepy, but at the same time, it's really very good.
Okay, well, based on a children's book.
Yes.
Go on, Amelia. How do you feel? How do you feel about it? Does it punch your ticket?
Well, that is a question. I think I have seen it, but I think I either didn't watch the entirety of it because I didn't like it, or so I'm going to say no. That's always the thing. If there's a list of my favorite the Christmas films, that's always the thing that I kind of skip over. So sorry, it's a no.
Oh, so can I just mention again? This was also a combined effort. This was. I should have said this before Amelia voted, really, because she might have given me the vote because of sympathy. But this is one of my kids love this movie. They will watch it every year. They'll always ask for a Polar Express. They don't see the creepy dead eyes. They don't see it. They just see Wonderful. So.
Okay, I'm still going to say no. I'm going to go for children. You all said no to my mum, so I've got no less empathy now at this point of the podcast.
You don't have to change your mind. I was talking to these creeps.
It's still sorry.
Vengeance is Mrs. Hayward's. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Chris, the Polar Express.
So I've got a kind of an interesting memory of this film. When it was released on DVD, it became a performance DVD for AV shops, audiovisual, hi-fi surround sound shops. And I remember going into one of them in 2005, and they were showcasing the film on the surround sound. So I'm guessing it was at the point where they were introducing DTS or 7.1 surround sound, and Polar Express happened to be one of the first.
It was 3D. They were bringing in 3D TVs.
3D sound.
3D sound, and also 3D TVs as well, because this was IMAX 3D at the same time.
Yes.
Oh, was it through? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it was released in 3D as well.
Right. Well, it was definitely the sound of the engineer, the guy behind the counter was showing off on the system, and it sounded amazing, and it looked really good on the TV too. It was the point at which the train, the express, takes off down the tracks for the first time after picking up the boy. But really, that's kind of all I remember of it, apart from the, like you say, the dead eye thing. And it's a shame that stigma has been attached to it. But yeah, I don't know whether it's just because I was not the right age for it, but it just didn't capture me at the time. But it's certainly something that I should revisit with my son. But yeah, it's a no for me, unfortunately. Sorry, Matt.
That's okay. Can I just say that I didn't appreciate this film for what it was until my kids watched it. So it'd been a decade. I'd never watched it at all, and the first time I watched it, my daughter was 4. I want to say 4 or 5. So 2013, 14 was when I saw it. So it was about 10 years after it's released. So yeah, I would never have seen this movie otherwise. So I think it is one of those films that is purely a kid's movie. But yeah, it does suffer from crap animation in parts, which is a sad thing, but you got to pioneer it in one way or another, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, Dan, what do you think?
Nice quick answer. Nope, never seen it. And apart from the trailers, and it hasn't grabbed me.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it looks like it's going to get kicked in the caboose. So, for my two penneth, I am always a sucker for new forms of animation and things like that. I wonder if I'm one of the few people who went to see Ray Winston as Beowulf.
I saw it 3D IMAX. I saw it, mate, as well.
Yeah, I didn't get around to watching the Jim Carrey's Christmas Carol. But yeah, unfortunately, this doesn't make our list. Right. Let's kind of move this along, because I'm aware of our recording time. So Amelia, have you got anything quick for us?
So I'm going to go for Elf, I think, just because of the camera techniques. Because a lot of it was done in camera, and they use forced perspectives, and it's just such a little tiny film that a nobody writer and the producer who'd never really produced anything before, and then they ended up making this sort of cult Christmas classic. It's the dream for any filmmaker, so that's why it should be on the list, I feel. Okay,
so Chris, how do you feel about it?
Absolutely, yes. Elf is amazing. Totally agree. It's on my list. It's Will Ferrell, his first film role. He did just brilliant in it. They took a gamble on him coming off of SNL, and he is just fantastic in it. His ad-libbing is brilliant. There's just so many brilliant. What's his name? Who plays his dad?
James Caan.
Thank you, James Caan. He's very good in the kind of grumpy businessman role. It's so good. My son loves it, and we watch it together. It's just an absolute classic. It's probably the most modern film that I would consider to be the kind of a classic Christmas film. Incidentally, a little fact for you: the young elf that sends Buddy away from the North Pole is Ralphie from the Christmas Story. They actually cast him in it because of the cult status of the film in America.
Right. Okay. Dan, is he your buddy?
Definitely got to be on the list. Will Ferrell at his peak. Well, yeah, in my opinion, anyway. I think one of my favorite bits is when he arrives in New York. A lot of it feels improvised, but I think it is actually quite scripted. But this scene, I think they just ran amok in New York. And he's like pulling chewing gum off posts and sticking it in his mouth, and obviously like one of these standard street corner coffee shop, but just has got world's best cup of coffee written on the side of it, and he runs in, congratulations, you did it. So good. It's got to be on the list. It's just an outlier actually on my top 5 because of Santa Claus the movie, which I just couldn't not put on the list, but otherwise it would have been Elf.
Excellent. I'm going to say that yes. I think this is just the ultimate feel good Christmas movie. And Jon Favreau, the director.
Yeah, is there anything the guy can't do?
I know. Well, he can't do Lion King, but apart from that, but yeah, no, definitely got my vote for this list. So, Matt, can we make it a full house?
Yeah, make it a full house. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it did that success story like no other film's done in the last 20 years, I think, where it created a phenomenon that hasn't any other Christmas films achieved really in recent memory. Whether or not it's Will Ferrell, I mean, it's not my favorite film of all. It's an outlier, like Dan said. It's an outlier. It's down the list, but it is funny, and I like the fact that they early on. Am I right thinking that they mix a little bit of stop motion animation in the North Pole? Yeah.
A lot of the stylization as well is heavily inspired by what's the company that made the Rudolph movie in the States? I've never actually seen it, but the characterization of it is iconic. It's got that kind of wide-eyed kind of creature. It's a great film, and you can't deny that it's got to be on there. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Right. Okay. So that's Elf on our list as number 5. Can we get Chris? Chris, do you have a 6th?
Oh my God.
Come on, Chris. Jimmy Stewart.
No, I don't actually. All of mine have mentioned. I mean, apart from Scrooge, but
Which one? The Albert Finney one.
Finney, no, the original.
Alistair Sim.
Thank you, Alistair Sim. Yes, I really like that version. But I wouldn't consider it to be better than what we have already mentioned.
Okay,
so I will defer and move on to Dan.
Cool. I've got a pretty extensive list of outliers in the top 5.
We'll go on, Dan.
Okay, hang on. Sorry. Can I just interject then? So I do have one more film, but I wondered whether it skirted more into our alternative Christmas list, which we're doing next time. So National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
No,
would we say that's
it's a PG. It's definitely a Christmas movie.
I know John absolutely hates this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken about this before.
This is John Hughes.
Personally, I think this is more in the alternative.
That was my thinking. Because I wouldn't sit down with my son and watch this, whereas all the others I would.
Right.
So that's kind of my.
I wouldn't say that it doesn't fall into this topic because it is at its core. Okay, maybe it's a bit more adult in its themes, but it's all centered around Christmas. You've got all the classic Christmas tropes. But
you are right, Dan. Yeah.
But even though I'm trying to defend it, I would say no.
Well, then I think I'll save it for the alternative Christmas. And Dan, please continue.
Ollie will be with you on that one.
Charlie will, yeah.
See, I didn't. It's not that I didn't like it either. It's just I don't know. There's just some things about it I think that haven't aged well.
Yeah.
But there are some classic moments in it. The light scene and stuff. Anyway, we've got running out of time, I believe. So I'll crack on. I'm torn between something that I feel like might be a bit more obvious, yeah, I'm going to go for it. We've got Santa Claus the movie, the one it always gets confused with whenever I say I want to put it on, the Santa Claus.
Oh God!
As it always happens, as I go to say a name, the Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. Tim
Allen. He's it's a broken family. Dad's got custody of the kid for Christmas or Christmas Eve. They hear something on the roof. He's, your typical businessman, doesn't believe in Santa and all of that. It's pretty ropey, kind of burnt dinner Christmas. They go and eat at a diner and all of that. And the kid's staying over and they hear a noise on the roof, and they go out to investigate what the noise is, and they scare the intruder off the roof. And then they realize when they're looking at his Santa suit that it is actually the Santa Claus. And the clause with an E on the end, which is the end line of a contract, states that whoever finds the suit is the Santa. And so Tim Allen gets whisked off to the North Pole, and he becomes the new Santa Claus. It's heartwarming. I think it's got enough about it that makes it feel quite classic. I didn't love the sequels, but I do love the original, and I do think that while it wasn't in my top 5, I do think it is worthy of being in the 7.
Okay, well, Dan, I kind of agree with you. It's one of those. It's kind of like one of those family films where they actually have to. It's very sarcastic. They play up the dark bits and then really play up the family fun parts. So I think I'd put it on the list. So Matt.
I've never. Am I mute? No, I'm not.
No, you're on.
I've never seen it. But I think I put it into that category with Jack Frost with Michael Keaton, where I'm not quite sure that it's top tier. If you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've not seen it anyway, so I couldn't put it on. Sorry.
Okay. Right. Okay. Amelia.
I'd say yes. It's a family classic. I think it's a great film, so I definitely say yes and add it to the list.
Okay, it's got 3 votes. It's on the list. Yes. So, Chris, how do you feel about it?
Never seen it.
Okay, so that's the Santa Claus.
It's definitely worth a watch.
In our 6. Right, okay. I'm going to keep it absolutely traditional. Say It's a Wonderful Life. It's Jimmy Stewart. Well, it's God and the Angel explaining Jimmy Stewart's life, and how it is up to this point. But he's having a huge crisis of conscience. He loses everything, and then he goes down to he goes to end his life. Just as he's about to jump off the bridge, Clarence jumps into the water, and he ends up having to save the angel. And he wishes he'd never been born, at which point Clarence grants his wish, and he gets to see what Bedford Falls would look like if he hadn't existed. His brother would have died in a river in an accident at an early age. His future wife would become a spinster. The bank would own the town, and it would now be called Pottersville, and the evil industrialist banker would actually take everything. There is an argument to say that this is not a Christmas film, but in saying that, it's got Christmas. It's set right at the end at Christmas, so I think the last third is all played out through the Christmas season. I think they should be on our list. I think this is the kind of like this is the one, the really old one that should go on the list. What do we think? Go to Matt.
Yes, for me, yeah, absolutely, 100%. One of my favorite films of all time. One of the greatest films of all time. Frank Capra, James Stewart, Lionel Barrymore, all the great actors, American actors of stage and screen. It's heartwarming, it's sentimental, it's tearful, it's wonderful. It's a Wonderful Life. Got to go on there. I love it to pieces.
Excellent. So, Amelia, I think we already know.
Yes, it's a definite yes. I really love it, and I watched it for the first time only a couple of years ago, and I felt very modern considering how old the film was, and I love the Vaseline on the screen and the beautiful sort of close up on the heroine's face. I really, really love that. So it's a definite yes from me.
Okay, so Chris.
If it can feature in Spanish and French in Home Alone 1 and 2, then yes, it should go on the list.
Okay, and Dan, does An Angel Get Its Wings?
I've actually only seen it once, but and we have tried to rewatch it and didn't quite get through it because it was deemed too dark and depressing. But I think it was blasphemous not to include it. So yeah, it's full house.
Right.
Also,
okay.
I apparently there's a clock tower in it. Is there a clock tower? Can anyone who's a bit more familiar with the film?
There's a village. The town has a clock tower. Yeah.
Yeah, because I went to Niagara on the Lake when I went to Toronto. Went to Niagara Falls, and the guy said that that was where
they filmed it.
Oh, part of it
wow.
Anyway. So I've been there. I've only seen the film once. So I wasn't that familiar with it, but
Okay.
yeah, it was quite cool. It was beautiful, and it was all really snowy there when we were there as well. So it felt very Christmassy.
Perfect.
Excellent. Okay, so we now have a long list of, right, listen everybody, Muppets Christmas Carol, Home Alone, Nightmare Before Christmas, Santa Claus the movie, Elf, The Santa Claus, and It's a Wonderful Life. Which one are we going to lose first? Matt.
Can we? I know we've got short on time. Can we just burst off some super quick honourable mentions? I'm just going to go straight into it because I know we've got short on time. Jingle All the Way. Watch it. It's funny. It's terrible, but it's funny. You got to watch The Snowman, The Father Christmas, and The Snowman and Snow Dog. Even though they're not films, they're short films. They're absolutely fantastic. Arthur Christmas. I love that. I think that's really good. Aardman doing computer CGI instead of stop motion. Very, very good. Home Alone 2, watch it. And Scrooge with Albert Finney from 1970. Fantastic.
Excellent.
And my vote off is down the Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus.
I've never seen it. Sorry.
Okay, so right, Amelia.
I agree, the Santa Claus.
Okay. Chris.
The Santa Claus.
Okay, now Dan.
I just said It's a Wonderful Life, just because it's the one I'm least familiar with.
Okay, and I would say, yeah, the Santa Claus as well. Santa Claus is out. That's our first. Okay, but round again, Matt. What's your next nomination for losing?
Oh God, I'm really sorry, but Santa Claus the movie.
Okay, Amelia.
I agree, Santa Claus movie.
Okay, Chris. Kill your darlings.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. And who said It's a Wonderful Life? The last one, that was you, Dan, wasn't it? So
two for two.
The
John,
decider.
John.
Unfortunately, I'm actually going to go with Santa Claus the movie. I'm going to vote off. I'm going to vote off my own one.
Oh, dear.
So, okay, Santa Claus the movie is gone. We have Muppets Christmas Carol. Yep. We have Muppets Christmas Carol, Home Alone, Nightmare Before Christmas, Elf, and It's a Wonderful Life. What's your number 5, people? Start with you, Amelia.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay. Chris.
I said A Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Okay. Dan. So
I said It's a Wonderful Life as well.
okay. And I'm going to say Elf, but that's It's a Wonderful Life then.
I haven't voted.
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, go on then.
Elf.
So Amelia, you said Nightmare Before Christmas, didn't you?
Oh yes, I've got to change one of my votes.
Yeah. Elf or Wonderful Life?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay, It's a Wonderful Life at number 5. Okay, so we have 2 votes for Elf. Amelia, you said A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
I said Elf as well. Who said It's a Wonderful Life?
Chris did.
Dan and I.
Yes. So Chris, what's your next one?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas. And Dan?
Elf.
So that's Elf with 3 votes. So on to our number 3. We have 2 for Nightmare Before Christmas. Matt, what's your number 3?
Home Alone.
Home Alone. I'm going to say Nightmare Before Christmas as well. And who else voted for? Who's left?
So I'm left, and I would say the same, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, Nightmare Before Christmas becomes our number 3. So we have 2 left. And strangely enough, I thought this might be the case. Muppets Christmas Carol and Home Alone. So we've had 2 votes for Home Alone already. That was Matt and Chris. Is that correct? No, sorry.
No, it's just me that voted Home Alone.
Right, okay. So 1 vote for Home Alone. Amelia, your number 1.
Voting for number 1 now.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 1 would be Muppets Christmas Carol. My number 2 would be Home Alone.
Okay, and
same here. Yep, same here.
Matt and Dan.
Muppets Christmas Carol, number 1.
Chris. Oh, a Home Aloner. Well, unfortunately, Chris, you're outvoted. So we are number 5.
Would you have been your Muppets as number 1?
Oh,
John,
I'm a Muppet as number 1.
You're a Muppet.
Yeah. All right.
Am I
a man or a Muppet?
Or am I a man? Yes. So that means that
list them, baby.
It's a Wonderful Life at number 5. Number 4, we have Elf. Number 3, we have Nightmare Before Christmas. Number 2, we have Home Alone. And number 1, at the top of our top 5, Muppets Christmas Carol.
Play the sting.
There goes Mr. Humbug. There goes Mr. Grin.
God bless us, everyone.
Whatever.
God bless us, everyone.
Thank you very much, people. I know we had a few technical difficulties at the beginning of that. So
all came good in the end.
It all came good in the end. So,
this is my island in the sun.
Okay, so Amelia, anything you'd like to say? Anything to plug?
No, I'd just say obviously carry on watching and listening to the podcast. Thank you very much for having me. And I think you're going to hopefully plug about how we can get even more Christmas action in the coming weeks.
Yep. Dan, how about you, sir?
Just like Matt did, I'd like quick fire stocking fillers, some shorts that probably didn't make it into this list. Mickey's Christmas Carol is definitely worth a watch. The original Grinch from 1966, Charlie Brown Christmas, which is nice and dark, but also heartwarming. And then obviously the 2 classic Raymond Briggs, The Snowman and Father Christmas. And also, as I said on the Halloween one, I'm a fan of heavy music. If you want some alternative Christmas music, I've put together a 6+ hour long playlist on Spotify of punk rock Christmas songs, which I'll put a link in the comments on Facebook.
Excellent. I look forward to headbanging my way through that. Chris.
I have no idea what the 40 years of Christmas movies would be. It'd be interesting to work out what the first Christmas movie was, actually. Yeah, it's probably going to be something in the 50s or 60s. Anyway, that will come along at some point. My suggestion, or rather my pick for the worst ever Christmas movie ever made,
A Lump of Coal,
would be, yes, a Star Wars holiday special, which I urge you to check out if you haven't. It is possibly the worst film / TV movie committed to celluloid ever, and it's so bad it's good. So check that out if you haven't. It's all on YouTube.
It come out on Disney Plus as well, I think, recently. They dropped
no way.
Well, there's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, I believe. I think that's coming out this year. So keep an eye out for that and see if that's just as bad. Okay, Matt, any last words?
No, none at all. Just enjoy the films. I'm going to go and watch Santa Claus the movie, because although we didn't get it into our top 5, I want to rewatch that. That's one of the things that I'm going to take from this wonderful podcast, all you wonderful people. We didn't. I kind of have. I like Little Women. I like, obviously, but I like.
We don't want to know about your girlfriends.
The remake and the old one as well, because that's set at Christmas. That's quite cool. That's one we missed to talk about. And Meet Me in St. Louis, I like that. And White Christmas. There's some old ones from the 1950s that are worth checking out. Please do. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we've actually mentioned and voted on 13 different films, which is quite a Christmas season just taken on their own. My last little bit, we are at 5 on Film Podcast. If you want to find us, we're on all the socials. If you want to have a look at us on YouTube, please feel free to find us. I think we've got about 5 or 6 episodes as we speak, and that's only growing. If you want to talk to us, please tell us if we're right or wrong on our lists. If you want to email us, we're 5onfilmpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know any ideas going into the new year. We've kind of know what we're doing up until Christmas, but just after we've got some holes. Our next podcast should be Alternative Christmases. So alternative Christmas films, and we'll think of a much better name for that when we bring it out. Thank you very much for joining us all. Thank you, guys. Thank you for persevering, and we shall see you all soon. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Cheers,
you
guys.
filthy animal, and a Happy New Year.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right.
All views expressed in this podcast are that of the individual and do not represent the views of any entity whatsoever which they have been or will be affiliated with in the future.